The ongoing disputes over religious sites in India, particularly those involving claims of historical conversions, have heightened communal insensitivities. We can see one such recent incident happening in Uttar Pradesh region. So, petitioners claimed that this particular mosque, that is Shahi Jama Masjid, that is existing in the Sambal region of Uttar Pradesh, was built after destructing the Hindu temple that was existing there. So this petition was accepted by the district's court, which then ordered for the formation of a commission to carry out the investigation survey in the region. So this triggered the recent violence that is happening in the region, and in today's video we are going to analyze so many things, starting from how do the courts initially accept these type of claims which seeks to change the religious character of the nation, religious character of the particular place of worship, which is against the Place of Worship Act 1991. So let's try to understand first with claim by the petitioners. The petitioners claim that this particular masjid was built, after destructing the Hindu temple that was existing in the region. And this claim is not just new to us, because we have similar claims being already made in cases like Varanasi and Mathura. So these claims are all essentially trying to change the religious character of the place, maybe from a mosque to a Hindu temple, or from Hindu temple to a mosque. And why it is a problem? It is a problem because we have to understand that the Places of Worship Act 1991 is in against to acceptance of these claims. But then how do the courts are actually able to accept such claims? We will see that now. So initially on November 19, the court is first of all accepting the claim of the petitioner seeking right to access the mosque. And then the court is coming up with appointment of a commissioner to carry out an initial survey at the mosque, and then this is leading to protests breaking out in the region. And what is happening all over that is this: these claims are going against the provisions of Places of Worship Act 1991. Now let's try to understand the civil suit framework. The first question: how do courts are accepting such claims? It is because according to the civil suit framework that we have, generally in civil suits, the initial claims have to be accepted at prima facie, accepted at face value, without having the need of submitting any kind of evidences. So generally the claims will be accepted. Generally after accepting the claims, then only the court will deem the further evidences in support of such claims. So first thing, in any civil suits, generally the claims will be accepted prima facie, but then we will not go for any kind of strict scrutiny at the initial stage itself. So the Code of Civil Procedure bars the court from getting into any kind of scrutiny based on the claim initially. So generally the claims will be accepted based on the prima facie reasons whatever they have in front of them, and then that will again pave way for the discussions to hear from both sides of the groups, and then the court will decide whether this particular claim shall be accepted or not. So when the court is deciding to accept any such claim, it should probably come up with an order, a formal order, so as to mention that, so as to state that this claim is accepted. So this claim is actually maintainable. Clear? So following that, only further investigations can follow. Following that, only further evidences have to be submitted to the court. So this is the standard procedure that we follow according to the civil suit framework that we have. So how it is going to challenge the Place of Worship Act 1991? Because according to the Place of Worship Act 1991, any such claim which is seeking to alter the religious character of the place of worship should be barred, should not be accepted. And we can see that both the cases of Gyanvapi and Mathura, this particular claim is against this particular provision of the Places of Worship Act, but still the court accepted it. So why do it accepted it? Because it was stated that the petitions filed by these people are maintainable, meaning that they are valid cases for determination despite the 1991 Act. So how was these courts able to overrule this particular provision of the Place of Worship Act 1991? Let's try to understand that here. So if we are interpreting the Place of Worship Act 1991, it is very simple that the objective of this act is to prevent the nature of the place of worship as it was on 15th of August 1947. So basically, this particular act does not want any changes to happen that can change the religious character of a place as it was existing on 15th of August 1947 to something else. So this is the main objective of this particular act, and it is the section 3 of the act that bars the conversion of either full conversion or partial conversion of any particular region or the entire region of place of worship from one religious character to another, from one section to another. And we also have section 4 here. That section 4 in fact even prevents any legal proceedings from making such changes. So this is created so as to prevent taking up of such claims or suits by the courts. So this is how it is according to the Place of Worship Act 1991. But how do these courts were actually able to overrule this or even accept claims which is in opposition to this Place of Worship Act 1991? So it is basically because of this interpretation of the Supreme Court that stated, although this Place of Worship Act 1991 prohibits any claims that seeks to change the religious character of the people as valid, this particular act does not prevent the inquiry of the particular region's historical character. So what did the Supreme Court say here? The Supreme Court stated that we can, however, conduct inquiry about the historical character of the region as it was not barred according to the particular provision of the Place of Worship Act 1991. So now we have to interpret that whether the Supreme Court is actually able to give any final arguments regarding whether this particular filing itself is something that is against the Place of Worship Act. Filing instance, filing of plea itself is something that is in against the Place of Worship Act, or going for changing the character is something that is prohibited under the Place of Worship Act. So this is before the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court has not yet given any statement regarding this. It is under discussion. So the Supreme Court is yet to hear whether either we can go for at least accepting the filing of plea, or we should not go for that also, because according to the Place of Worship Act, it is the final thing that comes after accepting the plea, that is either to change the religious character of the region is valid or not. Okay, so this is before the Supreme Court, and both in Mathura and Gyanvapi cases, because of this particular interpretation of the Supreme Court that we can go for inquiry of historical character, we have so many loopholes, and that has enabled the rooms for this district court and the High Court to even accept such claims by the petitioners. So what we have to do basically here is that we have to note in this particular Sambal case, things turned worse, not just because of this petition being accepted by the court, but because of this thing that the district court, even before issuing an order stating the acceptance of the claim, it issued an order for the appointment of the commission so as to start the investigation. So what is expected here is that we have to, the government and the stakeholders should actually initiate some interfaith, communications between different groups and the religions that are present right there, so as to protect them from, getting into this, sense of threat to their religious existence, so as to solve these kind of issues which are repeatedly coming in by addressing especially the concerns which are there since times. Okay, so especially related to the claims which are historical in nature. So that is all for today, and here I have an exciting announcement to make for all of you. That is, now you can get the subscription for just rupees 1200 per month in Unacademy for the plus courses if you are going to target 2026 and 2027 UPSC CSE. Okay, so where you will be provided with bachelors like English, Hindi, and English batch, where we will have our top educators handling our classes, and the course names are RM 2026, Ignite 2026, etc. Where we'll be having complete syllabus coverage in 6 months with 29 prelims mock tests and complete current affairs revision and dedicated doubt solving sessions. That is one-to-one kind of mentorship programs are also being planned here. So this is a limited period offer, so I would definitely recommend you to please subscribe to this, and you can also use my referral code RIYA50. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to UPSC Warriors channel, please subscribe. Stay tuned with us for more updates.